What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to episode 4 of building a clone base. If you caught last week's episode, we got quite a bit done on this backside where the road's going to be. I started on a little bit of the rock work and then we started getting that terrain built up, and it's just such a lengthy process. And I want to finish it today. I want to get all the foundation in and the pillars and everything, and it's going to take a lot of time, but it'll be well worth it because then I can finally get on to actually building the base. I'm going to continue with these lattice structures I've been building with 2x2 brick and a bunch of plate that we're not going to be using in this build, so it can be nicely hidden underneath all this terrain work. So I'll just get started by building up that wall on the exterior there with the green brick. And then I also had my sister's help today, so we just really got to work on this whole area. It's just tons of pieces going on here. She's just working on the left side there, and I'm working on building up where the bridge is going to be, because I figure if there's going to be a bridge, there needs to be some foundations that would be man-made. So there's going to be a little bit of gray brick there representing concrete, and then all around it is going to be the paths and all the green terrain, which we can of course cover up in nice foliage and everything. And then once again, the bridge is going to be on an angle, so once we get it up, I'm going to have to plate everything off and then tile everything off so it can sit nicely there and be modular. Another thing to keep in mind is that this whole left side still has to be done, and that's quite a bit of space to cover up, so I really hope the parts collection can handle that. I've gotten a lot of parts, specifically green parts, to help with the terrain work, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. I hope it is, because as you can see, we're just using as much different weird type of filler bricks to just fill in the gaps, because I don't feel like wasting a bunch of money on stuff you're not even going to see. I'd rather put the budget for this MOC into foliage and cool types of parts and stuff that's going to really elevate the MOC. After a couple hours, I was really happy with the way this is looking, but it's getting a bit tricky once we get to the top here. Because the bridge sits on an angle, it's going to have to lock in with jumper plates, and it's really tough to decide where exactly it's going to fit when we don't really know how the other side's going to look. So right now we're putting all this tile down, and then like I said, there's going to be a couple jumper plates on the pillars in the middle that will attach to the bridge, and that's how it's going to lock in, just very loosely. And then we went ahead and extended that path a bit. One thing I noticed is that the path is going to have to be built out a little bit. I thought it would just sort of cascade down, but the way we built the terrain, it's far too steep there. But this is a look at the structure right now. I want to do that to the left side, obviously, but I think it's looking great. And honestly, looking at it after the fact, I think it was for the best that it's too steep there. We can build it out a bit and add some more depth to the MOC. Now here's just a look at the overview. We're obviously going to be adding a ton of details to the bridge and everything, but I think that looks pretty clean. I don't know. What do you guys think? Now this is the part I've been dreading a little bit, just because of how massive of a gap we have here to fill in. I feel like we might run out of green brick. We're going about 2/3 of the way across, and then we also have to do the pillars here, and I want it mostly green brick and then a little bit of gray for those foundational areas. Luckily, I still had my sister here helping out, and I got her to work on that far side, just doing some filler brick and then plating off around the river. And then I was designing and picking out where exactly the pillars were going to go for the bridge. Now, it's going to be a very basic pillar, and I was originally going to do 2 on each side, but I think 1 is good enough on each side. It's not a massive bridge. I don't think it really needs that, and I end up moving the pillars afterwards a little bit, but there's a look at the basic design. I got some brackets on there with some vent pieces, and then the jumper plates on the top that are going to hold in the bridge. That's literally all that's going to hold in the bridge. We're going to tile everything off. It's just going to lock in, hopefully. I mean, we haven't tried it yet, but on those 2 studs, and then the bridge will be at an angle, which is very hard to do in Lego, as I'm sure we all know. So with the pillars done, it's time to tackle the filler brick and the terrain here. And this is, like I said, this is such a massive area. We're just doing the 2x4 brick with the plate on top, and then just replicating that all the way down. The other thing is that This is pretty ugly still in the end. We're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna integrate this, but I need to chop that off somehow, or tile it or whatever. So that's something for another day. We're not going to worry about that because we got to get back to this terrain work. But here's a step back at the mock. I think it's looking great. I mean, hopefully it'll look better by the end of this video. So here was the test to see if we had enough filler brick. The stockpile had dwindled by this point. Like on the left side there, I'm using all these doorways and weird pieces that we're not going to be using in the build, so I'm just throwing them in there, trying to get something back there so we can build the terrain up on top of it. And I mean, it's working. We have enough parts to do it, and by the end of this looks really good. Take a look. It's quite the transformation, hey, from those IKEA boxes before and now looking at that. It's like a full landscape. This is a look at the filler brick boxes. These were full at the start of the day. Like there was thousands of pieces we put on. We did this all in one day. I'm really busy this week, so this is literally one day of building, 2 people who just cranked this out, and I think it looks awesome. Now there's a few other things I want to discuss. First of all, this side over here, why it looks so weird, and we got to look at the micro build. Because in the planning stages, I wanted the clone base to extend down to the water's edge, and hopefully we could have some hydropower or whatever, some generators down there, and we'll figure that all out later. But that's why we didn't go right across. The other thing is, I'm saying the terrain's complete because the landscaping of it is like the base layer. Of course, we're gonna go in and put a bunch of slopes and trees and everything afterwards. So another thing I want to talk about is these bushes. I've been wanting to use these pieces again. I think they complement that purple color of the tree limbs very well. Now we have to decide if we want to have them spread all around the mock as shrubs like that. We can just put them down, or if we're going to put them like this on Cutlet Queen's farm. I think this would make more sense. They could be like a crop of some sort on whatever planet this is, and I think that would just be really cool. So next week is going to be pretty busy. I want to get a bunch of detailing work done, starting with the water. And here's a little bit of a prototype. I'm not going to do it this week because it's going to take forever, but that's what I want to do. Just use a mix of the tiles, put them different directions, make the water look somewhat natural, and hopefully the light hits it, gives it a nice sparkle. On that note, that's going to wrap up episode 4 for us today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I can't believe how many parts we put on this thing in just 1 week, but I think it looks great. I hope you do too, and I hope to see the next one. Peace.